15 country stars whose final moments on the open road still haunt Nashville. Fame carried them from one neon stage to another, but the same highways that built their legacy also brought unthinkable tragedy. Stay with this story, because one name on this list will shock even lifelong country fans. Number 1. Dottie West. On August 30th, 1991, the beloved country singer was on her way to the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville when the car she was riding in crashed near the entrance of the Opryland complex. She suffered severe injuries and was rushed to a local hospital where doctors fought to save her, but the trauma was too great. She passed away a few days later, leaving behind a career that had shaped an entire generation of country listeners. Dottie West became one of the most influential female voices in country music during the 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s. Her warm tone, emotional phrasing, and storytelling ability made her a fixture on the charts. Her collaborations with Kenny Rogers, especially the hit Every Time Two Fools Collide, cemented her as a defining artist of the era. She was celebrated not only for her vocal talent, but also for her pioneering role as one of the first women in country music to write and record her own material. Her impact reached far beyond radio stations and concert halls because she represented a blend of strength, vulnerability, and honesty that listeners felt deeply connected to. Her life held remarkable triumphs and hardships. She grew up in poverty in Tennessee and found comfort in music, even as she faced a difficult childhood. Her drive to succeed pushed her to Nashville, where she rose from small local shows to national stardom. She overcame personal challenges, including financial struggles and shifting industry landscapes, yet she managed to reinvent herself and remain relevant for decades. Her resilience became a defining part of her identity, admired by peers and fans who saw her as a symbol of perseverance. In the years leading up to the accident, her life became more complicated. She faced financial difficulties that led to the loss of her home, and she worked tirelessly to rebuild her career. Friends later shared that she remained optimistic and determined despite the pressures surrounding her. Her final days reflected the same dedication that had carried her through earlier hardships as she continued to perform and connect with audiences who still adored her. The news of her passing sent shockwaves through Nashville. Artists from multiple generations expressed deep sorrow, remembering her kindness and generosity backstage at the Opry. Radio stations across the country played her songs in tribute, and fans held vigils outside the Opry in her honor. Her induction into the Country Music Hall of Fame later affirmed her enduring legacy, ensuring that her voice and her spirit remain an essential part of the history and heart of country music. Number 2. Billy Walker. On May 21st, 2006, the country singer was traveling through Alabama in a van with his wife and 2 members of his band when the vehicle suddenly veered off the highway and overturned. The impact was devastating, and he did not survive the crash. News quickly spread through Nashville and across the country, leaving fans and fellow artists stunned at the sudden loss of a man who had spent his entire life shaping the sound of traditional country music. Billy Walker was known to millions as the Tall Texan, a towering figure both in presence and in musical influence. His smooth baritone voice carried through decades of country radio, with memorable hits like Charlie's Shoes and Cross the Brazos at Waco becoming staples of the genre. He performed for many years at the Grand Ole Opry, earning respect for his consistency, professionalism, and unwavering dedication to country tradition. His ability to blend Western flair with heartfelt storytelling made him one of the defining voices of his generation and a favorite among fans who loved the purity of classic country music. His life before fame was marked by determination and a deep connection to the songs he would later bring to national audiences. He was born in Texas during the early years of the 20th century and discovered his love for music while working on ranches and listening to touring performers who passed through his community. His early experiences shaped not only his sound but also his sense of humility and hard work. Throughout his career, he navigated changes in the music industry, personal challenges, and the difficulty of remaining relevant across multiple decades. Yet he persevered with grace and authenticity. In the time leading up to the accident, he remained active in both touring and recording. Friends often described him as someone who seemed ageless in his dedication to performing. He still traveled frequently, often with his wife by his side, bringing his music to longtime listeners who cherished his presence. Despite the demands of the road, he continued to approach every show with gratitude and energy. His later years were marked by a renewed appreciation for family, faith, and the community that had supported him for so long. The aftermath of his passing brought an outpouring of tributes from the Grand Ole Opry, radio hosts and musicians who had admired him for decades. Many credited him with preserving the essence of traditional country music during times of dramatic change. Fans shared memories of his concerts and spoke of his kindness off stage. His legacy lives on through his recordings and the generations of country performers who cite him as a major influence. If you have thoughts or memories about this legendary artist, feel free to share them in the comments below. Number 3. Ira Louvin. On June 20th, 1965, the celebrated singer was traveling through Missouri when his car collided with another vehicle on the highway. The force of the crash caused fatal injuries, and he passed away at the scene. His departure was sudden and heartbreaking for generations of listeners who had grown up with the unmistakable harmonies that defined the golden era of country and gospel music. Ira Louvin became a monumental figure in American music as one half of the Louvin brothers. Their sound, built on tight harmonies and emotional songwriting, influenced countless country, folk, and bluegrass artists for decades. Songs like When I Stop Dreaming and Cash on the Barrelhead remain timeless examples of their craft. Ira's distinct tenor voice paired with his brother Charlie's high harmony created a sound that shaped the blueprint for modern vocal duos. His work earned admiration from legendary performers across genres who often cited the Louvin brothers as one of the most important and groundbreaking acts of their era. His personal story added complexity and depth to the artistry he brought to the stage. He grew up in rural Alabama during difficult economic times and found comfort in music early in life. Church hymns and traditional folk songs shaped his musical identity long before he stepped into a studio. His life included both triumphs and struggles. He served in the military during the 40s, an experience that left a lasting impression on him. He faced personal hardships that tested his resolve, yet his dedication to his partnership with his brother and to his music never wavered. His ability to channel emotional truth into performance made him unforgettable. Before the accident, Ira continued to tour, write songs, and work to maintain the legacy he and his brother had built. Although the Louvin brothers had disbanded years earlier, he still performed their classics and introduced new generations to the harmonies that had once dominated country radio. He was known for his fiery passion on stage, his complex personality, and the sense of authenticity he carried in every note. Friends recalled that he remained driven and deeply dedicated to his craft, even during periods of personal turmoil. The news of his passing spread quickly through Nashville and the broader music community. Musicians across country and folk circles paid tribute to him and acknowledged his towering influence on American harmony singing. His work later earned a place in the Country Music Hall of Fame, ensuring that his voice and artistry would never be forgotten. His influence continues to ripple through artists who draw inspiration from the raw honesty and musical innovation he brought to every performance. Number 4. Red Sovine. On April 4th, 1980, the country singer was driving through Nashville when he suffered a sudden medical emergency behind the wheel. His car drifted across the center line and collided with another vehicle. He was taken to a local hospital where doctors attempted to save him, but the trauma, combined with the medical event he experienced in the car, ended his life later that same day. The news stunned the country community because he had remained an active and beloved presence in Nashville for decades. Red Sovine became a major figure in country music through his emotional storytelling style and his deep connection to working-class listeners. His rich voice and spoken word delivery brought a rare sense of warmth to the genre. He became known nationwide for his trucker-themed songs that honored long-haul drivers and the challenges they faced on the open road. His signature hit Teddy Bear touched millions with its heartfelt narrative and became one of the most requested songs on country radio during the 1970s. His dedication to crafting songs that focused on compassion, everyday struggles, and human connection earned him a devoted audience. His life before fame was shaped by a love of music that developed during his childhood in West Virginia. He grew up surrounded by traditional Appalachian sounds that later influenced his unique approach to country storytelling. He learned to play guitar at a young age and performed in local shows long before reaching national recognition. His early years in the industry included collaborations with some of country's biggest names and struggles that tested his commitment to the craft. Through perseverance, he built a career that spanned several decades and reflected both his talent and his determination to connect with listeners on a deeply emotional level. In the period leading up to the accident, Red Sovine continued to tour, record, and appear at country venues across the South. Friends described him as a gentle, grounded man who remained grateful for every opportunity to perform. His health had shown signs of wear from years of traveling, but he maintained a steady schedule. He was known to drive himself to many shows, enjoying the quiet time on the road. Those closest to him later shared that he remained dedicated to his fans and his music until the very end. The reaction to his passing was immediate and heartfelt. Radio stations across the country played Teddy Bear and other classics in tribute. Fellow artists praised him for bringing humanity and sincerity to country music during a period of rapid change. His songs continued to resonate with drivers, families, and longtime country listeners who felt seen in his lyrics. His legacy endures as a reminder of the power of storytelling and the emotional depth that country music can reach when delivered with honesty and heart. Number 5. Dottie Rambo. On May 11th, 2008, the gospel and country singer was traveling on a tour bus through Missouri when strong winds pushed the vehicle off the highway. The bus struck an embankment and overturned. She suffered critical injuries and passed away at the scene. Her band members and crew survived with varying injuries, but the loss of the artist herself marked a profound moment of sorrow for fans of both gospel and country music. Dottie Rambo became one of the most accomplished and respected songwriters in American spiritual and country music. She wrote hundreds of songs recorded by major artists across multiple genres. Her compositions blended poetic depth with emotional sincerity and were cherished by churches, choirs, and country singers alike. Her own performances carried a rare combination of power and gentleness that connected deeply with audiences. She won a Grammy Award and received numerous honors that recognized not only her voice, but her extraordinary gift for crafting lyrics that resonated with people seeking comfort, faith, and understanding. Her personal journey made her creative voice even more remarkable. She was raised in rural Kentucky under difficult circumstances and discovered her talent for songwriting at a very young age. Music became both a refuge and a calling. Throughout her life, she faced challenges that tested her emotional and physical strength, including childhood hardship, industry obstacles, and long periods on the road. Her resilience helped shape her into a beloved figure whose songs reflected both personal experience and universal emotion. She often shared stories of her struggles during concerts, offering listeners encouragement and reminding them that faith could carry them through any darkness. In the years leading up to the accident, she continued to tour actively despite health problems that had caused her pain for many years. She had undergone surgeries and dealt with chronic discomfort, yet she refused to stop performing because she felt a responsibility to the audiences who found solace in her music. Her strong sense of purpose kept her traveling from city to city, supported by family and friends who admired her determination. Those who knew her well later said that her final tour reflected her lifelong commitment to sharing hope even when her own body was worn down. After her passing, tributes poured in from across the gospel and country communities. Churches held special services dedicated to her music. Fellow artists praised her as one of the greatest songwriters in American history. Fans shared stories of how her songs had comforted them during difficult times. Her legacy remains firmly rooted in the hearts of millions who continue to sing her melodies and draw strength from the messages she left behind. Number 6. Cowboy Slim Reinhardt. On October 28, 1948, the pioneering country performer was driving near the city of Mackinac in Illinois when his car struck a bridge abutment with tremendous force. The crash caused fatal injuries, and he passed away before emergency responders could reach him. His sudden departure ended a career that had been rising steadily and left many early country music fans mourning the loss of a voice that had helped shape the genre during its formative years. Cowboy Slim Reinhardt was widely known as one of the earliest singing cowboys of American radio. His warm baritone voice and Western charm made him a regular presence on border radio stations during the 1930s and early 1940s. He recorded classic cowboy ballads and traveling songs that captured the spirit of the open range. Although his recorded output was limited due to the era in which he worked, his style and delivery influenced many performers who would later become major stars. His name remained respected among country historians because he represented an important link between cowboy folklore and the commercial country sound that followed. His life story reflected the rugged determination of early country entertainers. Born in Texas, he grew up surrounded by ranch work, wide landscapes, and the frontier culture that inspired his music. He learned to sing while working long days outdoors and performing at small local gatherings. His talent eventually brought him to radio, where he reached audiences far beyond the small towns of his youth. Despite the challenges of the Great Depression and the limited resources available to musicians from rural backgrounds, he continued to travel, record, and perform for communities eager to hear authentic Western music. In the years leading up to his passing, he balanced constant touring with appearances on influential radio programs. He traveled long distances in modest vehicles, often carrying his instruments and equipment with him. These demanding conditions were typical for musicians of his era. Friends recalled that he seemed exhausted from the heavy workload but remained committed to reaching fans across the Midwest and South. He was preparing new material and exploring opportunities for broader recognition when the tragedy on the road occurred. The response to his death was immediate within early country circles. Radio stations aired tributes, and fellow musicians honored him during live shows. Fans wrote letters remembering the comfort and joy his songs had brought them during difficult times. Historians later credited him with helping to keep traditional cowboy music alive during a transitional period in American entertainment. His legacy continues through rare recordings, preserved broadcasts, and the artists who followed in his footsteps. If you have memories or thoughts about this early pioneer, feel welcome to share them in the comments. Number 7. Betty Jack Davis. On August 2nd, 1953, the young country singer was traveling with her singing partner, Skeeter Davis, and their band near Cincinnati when their car swerved on a rain-soaked highway. The vehicle spun out of control and struck a bridge embankment with tremendous force. Betty Jack suffered critical injuries and passed away shortly afterward, bringing an abrupt and heartbreaking end to a career that had only just begun to shine. Betty Jack Davis was one half of the Davis sisters, one of the earliest female duos to make a national impact in country music. Their breakthrough recording I Forgot More Than You Will Ever Know became a major success on the country charts and introduced listeners to a new blend of harmony-driven storytelling. Betty Jack's voice carried a youthful intensity that balanced perfectly with Skeeter's softer tone, creating a sound that was both fresh and emotionally compelling. Although her time in the spotlight was short, she became a rising star whose talent suggested a long and promising future in the industry. Her life before fame was rooted in small-town America, where she and Skeeter met during their teenage years. Both shared a deep love for music and formed their duo while still in high school. Betty Jack brought determination and a sense of confidence that inspired those around her. She practiced tirelessly, wrote songs with enthusiasm, and dreamed of performing on the biggest stages in Nashville. Her early life was marked by simple joys, close family ties, and the excitement of watching her musical dreams begin to unfold. Those who knew her remembered her as cheerful, ambitious, and deeply committed to her craft. In the months leading up to the accident, the Davis sisters were experiencing a rapid rise. They had secured recording opportunities, radio exposure, and performance bookings across several states. Betty Jack was navigating the whirlwind of early fame, balancing the demands of touring with her desire to keep improving as a performer. The long hours on the road, the stress of constant travel, and the unpredictable weather of the Midwest all became part of her young life. She remained optimistic and focused, embracing every chance to bring her music to new audiences. The news of her sudden passing devastated the country music community. Radio stations played the Davis sisters' hit in tribute, and fans wrote letters expressing their sorrow for a talent lost far too soon. Industry professionals, mourned not only the tragedy of her fate, but also the unfulfilled potential of a young artist whose career was only beginning. Her legacy lives on through the recordings she left behind and through Skeeter Davis, who carried their shared dream forward while always honoring the memory of her friend and partner. Number 8. Vic Willis. On January 15, 1995, the longtime country musician was driving near Smyrna in Tennessee when his vehicle collided with another car at an intersection. The impact caused severe injuries, and he was transported to a nearby hospital where medical teams attempted to stabilize him. Despite their efforts, he passed away shortly after arrival. His sudden departure left a deep sense of loss within the Grand Ole Opry community, where he had been a familiar presence for decades. Vic Willis became widely known as a member of the Willis Brothers, a group celebrated for their Western swing style and their vibrant harmonies. Their music blended cowboy themes with lively rhythms and became a staple of mid-20th century American country entertainment. The group performed on major radio programs and recorded songs that resonated with both Western fans and mainstream country listeners. Vic's musicianship and distinctive stage presence helped the group maintain long-term popularity. His contributions to the group and to the Grand Ole Opry solidified him as one of the respected figures in traditional country music. His early life reflected the deep-rooted musical heritage of his family. Born into a household where music was a part of everyday life, he learned to sing and play instruments from an early age. Touring with his brothers became both a lifestyle and a calling. Through the challenges of long tours, changing musical trends, and the evolving landscape of the country industry, Vic remained steadfast. His dedication to keeping the family's musical tradition alive shaped his identity and strengthened his bond with audiences who valued authenticity and continuity. In the years leading up to the accident, he remained active as a performer. He continued appearing at the Grand Ole Opry and participated in various country-themed events. Friends and colleagues often described him as compassionate, grounded, and deeply committed to sharing music with others. As he grew older, he balanced performance schedules with time spent at home, enjoying quieter moments while remaining passionate about his craft. He carried with him a sense of gratitude for the longevity of his career and the loyalty of fans who had supported the Willis Brothers across generations. The reaction to his passing was immediate and heartfelt. Members of the Grand Ole Opry honored him with tributes that celebrated his decades of dedication. Fellow musicians spoke about his gentle personality, strong work ethic, and the role he played in preserving classic country traditions. Fans expressed their sorrow and shared stories of seeing him perform alongside his brothers. His legacy remains preserved through recordings, live memories, and the lasting influence he left on the tradition of family harmony groups in American country music. Number 9. Amie Comeau. On December 21, 1997, the young country singer was traveling with her mother and grandmother on a Louisiana highway when their car lost control on a rain-soaked stretch of road. The vehicle crossed the median and collided with an oncoming pickup truck. Amie sustained devastating injuries and passed away shortly after the impact. News of the accident spread quickly and left the country music community grieving the loss of a rising star whose career had only just begun to unfold. Amie Comeau captured national attention in the mid-1990s with a voice far beyond her years. Her debut album showcased a blend of emotional power and youthful clarity that earned comparisons to established country greats. She signed with a major label at an unusually young age, and critics praised her instinctive phrasing and natural storytelling ability. Her songs carried a sincerity that resonated deeply with listeners, making her one of the brightest newcomers on the country scene. Many industry observers believed she was destined for a long, successful career that could shape the next era of the genre. Her life before fame reflected the determination and enthusiasm that defined her artistry. Raised in Louisiana, she grew up surrounded by supportive family members who encouraged her love for singing. She performed at fairs, local events, and school functions, earning admiration for her confidence and stage presence. She balanced school responsibilities with her growing opportunities in music, navigating the early stages of show business with remarkable maturity. Her childhood was filled with dreams of performing on major stages, And step by step, she began turning those dreams into reality. In the months leading up to the accident, she was preparing new material and exploring the next direction in her career. Friends described her as joyful, focused, and deeply grateful for the opportunities she had received. She frequently traveled between Louisiana and Nashville while maintaining close ties to her family, who remained an essential source of support. Though the demands of early fame could be overwhelming, she approached them with optimism and a strong sense of purpose. She was on the cusp of major artistic growth when tragedy struck. The reaction to her passing was profound. Radio stations across the South aired her recordings in tribute. Fans wrote letters expressing sorrow for a voice silenced far too soon. Industry professionals spoke of her as an artist who had barely begun to reveal the full extent of her talent. Her legacy endures through the songs she left behind and through the memories of listeners who witnessed the early rise of a gifted young woman whose promise continues to be felt decades after her passing. Number 10. Kylie Rae Harris. On September 4, 2019, the Texas country singer was driving near Taos in New Mexico when her vehicle became involved in a multi-car collision on a rural stretch of highway. The crash caused severe trauma, and she passed away at the scene. The news spread across social media and the country music community within minutes, leaving fans and fellow musicians shocked by the sudden loss of an artist whose storytelling voice had been gaining admiration across the Southwest. Kylie Rae Harris was celebrated for her heartfelt songwriting and the raw emotional honesty she brought to every performance. Her music blended Texas country, Americana, and folk influences into a sound that felt both intimate and deeply rooted in Southern tradition. Songs like 20 Years From Now showcased her ability to transform personal experiences into moving narratives. She performed at festivals, songwriter rounds, and regional tours that gradually built her reputation as one of the most authentic voices in independent country music. Her emotional transparency and vulnerability made her a beloved figure among listeners who felt seen in her lyrics. Her life before widespread recognition was shaped by resilience and determination. Born in Texas, she developed an early passion for music and began singing publicly as a teenager. She faced personal struggles, including the challenges of balancing motherhood with a demanding artistic path, but her commitment to songwriting never faltered. Friends and collaborators spoke of her as someone who carried deep empathy and used music as a way to connect with others through shared experiences. Her background, filled with both joy and hardship, shaped her artistic sensitivity and her ability to write with emotional depth. In the months leading up to the accident, she had been performing at regional events, writing new material, and expanding her touring schedule. She traveled often between Texas and New Mexico, where she had built a loyal following. The pressures of constant travel weighed heavily on her, yet she remained devoted to her fans and determined to keep growing as an artist. She shared candid reflections about life, family, and creativity on social media, showing the same honesty off stage that defined her songs. Her final trip to Taos was part of a series of performances connected to a local music festival. The response to her passing was immediate and deeply emotional. Fellow musicians expressed their heartbreak and praised her as a gifted writer whose best work was still ahead of her. Fans created online memorials where they shared stories of how her songs had provided comfort, courage, and a sense of connection. Texas radio stations honored her with special segments dedicated to her music. Her legacy endures through her recordings, her powerful lyrics, and the community that continues to celebrate the authenticity she brought to the world. If you would like to share your thoughts or memories of this artist, feel welcome to comment below. Number 11. Taylor D. On March 14, 2021, the Texas country singer was driving near Euless in Texas when her car struck a barrier on a highway ramp and flipped. The impact caused severe trauma, and she passed away shortly afterward at a nearby hospital. News of the accident spread rapidly, and both fans and fellow musicians were devastated by the loss of a young artist whose career had been gaining momentum within the regional country music scene. Taylor D was admired for her powerful voice, charismatic stage presence, and the emotional depth she brought to her performances. Her blend of Texas country and contemporary country rock gave her a distinctive sound that resonated with a growing fan base. She earned widespread attention with the release of her album The Buzz, which showcased her dynamic vocals and her ability to convey vulnerability through storytelling. Many in the Texas music community viewed her as a rising star with the potential to transition from regional recognition to national prominence. Her life before her career gained traction was shaped by determination, passion, and personal resilience. She grew up in Texas and discovered her love for singing at a young age, often performing at school events and local gatherings. Music became a guiding force in her life, helping her navigate the challenges of early adulthood. She balanced the demands of family life with her dream of building a career in music. Friends remembered her as warm, enthusiastic, and driven by a genuine desire to connect with audiences. Her journey included obstacles, setbacks, and triumphant steps forward, all of which informed the authenticity of her performances. In the months preceding the accident, she was actively performing, writing new material and expanding her presence in the Texas live music circuit. She frequently traveled between performance venues, recording sessions, and promotional events. Her schedule was intense, but she embraced it with excitement and gratitude. Her social media posts from that period revealed a mix of ambition and heartfelt reflection, showing a young woman who was fully committed to her craft. She was working toward new opportunities and preparing to release additional music that would further establish her artistic identity. The reaction to her passing was immediate and emotional. Local radio stations dedicated segments to her music. Fellow artists expressed sorrow and described her as a vibrant and generous person who brought energy to every stage she stepped on. Fans created online memorials where they shared moments from her concerts and expressed their grief. Although her time in the spotlight was brief, her influence remains strong within the Texas country community. Her recordings continue to capture the passion and spirit that made her an artist whose potential was undeniable and whose talent left a lasting impression on all who heard her. Number 12. Lindsay Legacy. On February 14, 2020, the country singer was walking toward a Chicago venue to prepare for a Valentine's Day performance when she was struck by a passing vehicle while crossing a street. She was rushed to a nearby hospital with critical injuries, but despite medical efforts, she passed away several days later. The sudden accident stunned fans throughout the Midwest and brought an unexpected and heartbreaking end to the life of a performer who had been cherished for her talent and warmth. Lindsay Legacy was best known as the lead vocalist of the country cover band Dixie Crush. Her clear, expressive voice and her natural stage presence made her a standout figure in the regional country music scene. With her ability to reinterpret classic and modern country hits, she earned admiration from audiences who appreciated both her vocal skill and her joyful connection with the crowd. She brought energy, confidence, and sincerity to every performance, helping Dixie Crush become one of the most sought-after country acts in the Chicago and Midwest entertainment circuits. Her life before joining the band revealed her dedication not only to music, but also to personal growth and education. She grew up with a deep love for singing and was involved in musical activities throughout her childhood. She excelled academically and pursued a degree in pharmacy, balancing her professional career with her passion for performing. Friends described her as disciplined, compassionate, and full of positive spirit. Her strong work ethic and kindness shaped her interactions both on stage and in her daily life, earning her respect from colleagues within and outside the music community. In the weeks leading up to the accident, she was actively performing at events, festivals, and weekend shows. She maintained a busy schedule, traveling frequently with her band across Illinois and neighboring states. Her dual life as a pharmacist and musician demanded long hours and constant movement, yet she handled her commitments with enthusiasm and grace. Those close to her recalled her excitement for the Valentine's Day performance she was preparing for on the night she was struck, reflecting the passion she brought into every musical opportunity. The reaction to her passing was filled with deep sorrow. Members of Dixie Crush expressed profound grief and praised her as the emotional center of their group. Fans shared videos, messages, and memories of her performances, describing how her voice had brightened their celebrations and special events. Local venues held moments of silence in her honor, acknowledging the impact she had on the regional music scene. Her legacy lives on through the joy she brought to audiences and the inspiration she offered to young performers who admired her ability to balance her artistic dreams with a meaningful career off-stage. Number 13. Larissa J. On May 26, 2022, the Nashville-based singer was driving through the city when her vehicle was involved in a violent collision with another car. Emergency responders arrived quickly and transported her to a nearby hospital, but her injuries were too severe and she passed away later that day. The suddenness of the accident left friends, family, and fans shocked, as she had been actively performing and sharing new music in the months leading up to the tragedy. Larissa J. was known within the Nashville music community for her powerful voice and her unique blend of country, soul, and gospel influences. She released independent projects that showcased her dynamic vocal range and her ability to interpret emotional themes with sincerity. Her performances at local venues, songwriter events, and community gatherings earned her a loyal following. She was admired by fellow musicians for her versatility, her warmth, and her willingness to collaborate with artists across genres. Her style reflected a deep respect for traditional country storytelling while embracing modern rhythms and soulful undertones. Her personal journey shaped the authenticity she brought to her music. Originally from Michigan, she grew up in a musical family and discovered her passion for singing as a child. She carried that passion with her through school and into early adulthood as she explored different musical paths. Her life included challenges that tested her emotional resilience, including periods of self-doubt and the struggle to find her place in a highly competitive industry. Yet she approached every obstacle with determination and a genuine desire to connect with listeners. Friends recalled her generosity, her humor, and her tendency to offer encouragement to others, even during her own difficult moments. In the time leading up to the accident, she had been performing regularly at Nashville venues and was preparing new material with producers who recognized her potential. She balanced music with responsibilities at home and was working toward long-term goals that included releasing a new project. Her social media posts revealed excitement about upcoming shows and gratitude for the support she received from fans and fellow artists. She carried a sense of optimism as she continued to refine her sound and build her presence in a crowded music landscape. The response to her passing was immediate and heartfelt. Local musicians held tribute nights in her honor, performing her songs and sharing memories of her kindness and talent. Fans expressed their grief online, posting clips of her performances and thanking her for the comfort her voice had brought to them. Community leaders in Nashville noted the loss of a bright and compassionate artist whose presence enriched both the music scene and the lives of those who knew her. Her legacy endures in the emotional honesty of her recordings and in the impact she left on the people who witnessed her artistry firsthand. Number 14. Ana Paula Vieira. On January 16, 2023, the Brazilian-born country singer was traveling with her partner along a rural highway in the state of Santa Catarina when their car collided head-on with a large truck. The impact was severe, and both occupants of the smaller vehicle passed away at the scene. Although she lived and performed primarily in Brazil, international news outlets quickly reported her death, and fans across North and South America expressed sorrow at the loss of a rising talent whose music had begun reaching audiences far beyond her home country. Ana Paula Vieira was widely recognized as one half of the duo, Marcio and Ana Paula, a pair known for blending American country influences with Brazilian folk traditions. Her expressive voice and warm stage presence made the duo stand out within a growing country music movement in Brazil. Performances at festivals, rodeo events, and televised music programs helped her gain a dedicated fan base. She brought emotion, clarity, and charisma to each song, allowing her to make a strong impression on listeners who admired the authenticity she conveyed through her singing. Her personal story reflected her dedication to music and her ambition to build a career that honored both Brazilian and American country traditions. Born in southern Brazil, she grew up in a musically inclined family that encouraged her creativity. She sang in school events, church gatherings, and local competitions, gradually developing the confidence that later defined her performances. Her partnership with Marcio emerged naturally from their shared passion for country-inspired music, and together they created a sound that resonated with audiences seeking something both familiar and new. Her life included challenges common to independent artists, including limited resources and demanding schedules, but she met them with determination and optimism. In the months leading up to the accident, she and Marcio had been performing at various events throughout southern Brazil. They were working on new material and exploring opportunities to expand their presence on digital platforms. Friends recalled that she maintained a busy schedule filled with rehearsals, travel, and planning for upcoming shows. Her social media posts reflected enthusiasm about the new music they were preparing and gratitude for the growing support from fans. She remained hopeful about future collaborations and dreamed of sharing her music with international audiences. The response to her passing was immediate and deeply emotional. Fellow musicians, industry professionals, and fans posted tributes celebrating her kindness, her talent, and the joy she brought to every performance. Local radio stations replayed the duo's recordings, and communities where she frequently performed held memorial gatherings in her honor. Her legacy endures through the music she created and the lives she touched, representing a bridge between cultures and a testament to her devotion to artistic expression. Number 15. Graham Fitzsimons. On December 7, 2013, the New Zealand country singer was driving along a rural road in Northland when another vehicle collided with his car in a high-impact crash. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but his injuries were too severe and he passed away at the scene. News of the accident spread across New Zealand and eventually reached international country music circles, where fans and fellow performers mourned the loss of a musician whose warm voice and heartfelt style had touched audiences far beyond his homeland. Graham Fitzsimons was known for his rich tone, gentle delivery, and the emotional depth he brought to both classic and contemporary country songs. Although he was not based in the United States, he earned a loyal following among American country fans who discovered his music through radio programs, community stations, and online platforms. His performances carried a sincerity that resonated deeply with listeners seeking traditional country storytelling. He recorded several independent projects that highlighted his ability to blend nostalgia with emotional honesty, making him an admired figure within international country communities. His personal journey reflected a lifelong dedication to music. Born and raised in New Zealand, he grew up listening to American country records that shaped his early fascination with the genre. He began performing at local events as a teenager and gradually built a reputation for his smooth vocals and friendly stage presence. Throughout his life, he balanced music with other responsibilities, often traveling long distances to perform at fairs, community gatherings, and regional festivals. Friends and colleagues described him as humble, compassionate, and deeply committed to sharing the timeless beauty of country music with as many people as possible. In the period before the accident, he continued to perform regularly across New Zealand. He was known for making long drives between small towns to reach audiences who appreciated live country music. Despite the demands of constant travel, he remained enthusiastic and grateful for every opportunity to sing. His social media posts and interviews from that time revealed a man who loved his craft and approached each performance with joy. He was exploring new material and considering future recording projects when the tragedy occurred. The response to his passing was heartfelt and widespread. Radio hosts honored him with tribute segments and fellow musicians shared memories of his kindness and professionalism. Fans expressed their sorrow by posting clips of his performances and sharing stories of how his music had added meaning to their lives. Community venues where he had performed held moments of silence in his honor. His legacy endures through the recordings he left behind and the emotional connections he created with audiences across continents. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy stories like this, remember to subscribe. See you in the next video.